exactly like.
When you cool off after the holidays, it's time to come home and get prepared for a fresh year of sim racing action. It's a new season and a venture into a new era for the Symphony of Pistons Motorsport with an all-new World Touring Car Cup Championship. 2023 bridges two worlds of sim racing as they now take to the track here on the Race Room Racing Experiences. Tonight, 30 drivers take to the Redbull Ring and battle across two 20-minute races. It certainly will be a showdown to the checker. It'll be myself, Zach Soon, with James Parfitt in the commentary booth to deliver all of the action here on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. And well, James, it's a venture into the unknown for these guys. It's an interesting prospect and certainly one I'm very much looking forward to.
Yeah, I think from our point of view, it's going to be absolutely amazing. First time here at the Redbull Ring in these TCR cars. And I think, as we know, it's going to be an incredible race. You know, Red Bull, not always famous for great racing, but I think here with these TCRs, I think we're going to be able to nail this one. I'm going to have some great racing ahead of us.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got, well, three back-to-back long straights. You've got the undulation of the Red Bull Ring as well. And just, you know, it does open itself up really well to have the potential for some great racing action. I mean, as I say, the three back-to-back straights into some heavy braking zones. We can see it right now with the 79 of Fraser Roustans having a bit of a look to the inside of 10.3. Well, granted, this is only practice. It does set yourself up to try and have a look as to where and when you can get those moves done, etc., etc. But yeah, it's a track that I think we're going to see some interesting racing at. It's, I guess, very oval-esque, isn't it, James? In the sense that it's more beneficial to sit in the slipstream and wait for the more beneficial opportunities, because that slipstream is going to be vital. Yeah,
absolutely, and I think that's one of the things these guys are going to look out for and have got to play in their way. You know, they've only got 10 turns. It's only 2.683 miles long, 4.318 kilometers, and that's the thing. They haven't got long to be able to get round this circuit. You know, currently going round it in a 1:38.203 there as their fastest lap times, but they've got to be looking at trying as best they can to slipstream from turn 1 up into Remus at the end, which is technically turn 3, but as we know it is turn 2. And then if they can make that move down into Slush Gold, they've got to try, but they're going to have to stay close and be as close as they possibly can to send it up to the inside.
Yeah, but I think we are going to have an interesting dynamic in terms of the two races. We do have two 20-minute races, as I did allude to just a moment ago, one of which, however, does involve a 18-car reverse grid. Of course, we've got 30 drivers on the field, so all of those cars are really going to be fighting for that spot in the top 18. It's not a full reverse grid race like we often see with some series, James. It's you've got to fight. You've got to actually try, I guess, in some cases in race 1. To actually receive the benefits of that reverse grid for race 2.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the thing. You want to be up the front for race 1, because that's just the natural driver's instincts. You know, they want to go out and win. They want to be able to get as far ahead as they can, but they have got to think about where they're going to be in race 2, because if they win race 1, they're going all the way back to 18th. And as we know with reverse grids, it can be quite chaotic at times to make your way back through.
Oh yeah, particularly here with the Red Bull Ring. Let's put it that way. I mean, it can be tricky to overtake. It can be very chaotic, particularly when it comes to touring car racing. I mean, it has got a bit of a reputation for being a bit of a door-to-door ding-dong sort of racing series, but we do love it because the way these cars race, they're not sort of like single-seaters like you get with the modern-day Formula 1 cars, where it's like, okay, you're going to touch and then one of you is going to spin. It's a case of you can get away. There is a margin for error with these cars, and you know, they're low downforce, they're slightly lower power. I mean, they've still got a decent chunk of horsepower, but they're lower horsepower, front wheel drive as well. The style of the car really does allow it to, you know, give the drivers the confidence they need to be able to go for those moves.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They've got to have the confidence in what they've got underneath them, because if they haven't got that, they're not going to be able to really push the full extent of these cars, and that's what they've got to try and do, is push the full extent of the cars to be able to make the differences in the races, and they've got to kind of go for it as best they physically can, and this is why this is going to be such an interesting race.
Well, races, let's say that much. Yeah, I mean, again, it's that thing that when it comes to sprint racing and sprint racing formats, I look at it, I'm like, yeah, I want to do that. Sign me up. You obviously you put the opportunity up on Discord yesterday. I was like, yeah, I'm doing this 100%. Because it's short, it's sweet, it's sharp, it's touring cars, and it's on Race Room as well, which is a fantastic simulator to sort of sink your teeth into. I mean, it's free to play. You only have to pay for a bit of content if you want to carry on and expand your sort of portfolio, I suppose, of sorts on the sim, but you do get a decent chunk for free. So it is a fantastic simulator, really, really good when it comes to racing as well. So I physically cannot wait. I'm, on the edge of my seat. I'm bouncing up and down. I'm very much a child. I'm really looking forward to it. I had a Capri Sun before the stream as well. But anyway, I digress. We're into the 10-minute qualifying here in the Styrian Mountains, I should say. How important is qualifying going to be here, James, do you think?
Honestly, I don't think, in hindsight, it's going to be as important if it was just a 1:45-minute race. That's the thing. I don't see it as important if it's going to be 1:45 minutes race going at it, because they've got one race, then they've got a reverse grid. So I don't know if they're going to prioritise what they're going to do in qualifying, whether or not they're going to want to get up the front of the grid for race 1 and then go to the back for race 2. It's a fine balance, but I think these guys will kind of try and make it work the best they can. I think everybody wants to be as far forward as possible. I think that's going to be a given on this racetrack. So I think they're going to be pushing as far forward as they can, as you can see here with Phil Ragg.
Yeah, and now going into Slosh Gold of turn number 4. Some people do kind of class it as turn 3. It depends what you count that little kink before the uphill braking zone of what is technically turn 3. But anyway, we digress. He is now running his way in towards turn number 6. This very long left-hander it can be at times, and then in towards a very similar left-hander where you do just have to chuck the car in and hope that it's going to stick, and really again let the car run out to the full extremities of the circuit, use the circuit that you have got available. And Phil Ragg is trying to set the benchmark. I think it's going to be important to get into rhythm of things around this circuit, because you do in some cases take a hop, skip and a jump, and it's building up that confidence lap by lap to slowly ease your way into things. You can't expect these guys to be right at the top sharp end of pace right out the gates in qualifying. It's a case of slowly, bit by bit, lap by lap, approaching that limit.
Yeah, definitely. And Ragg goes into third there on a 1:39.079. He's just dropped down a fourth, actually. So he's going to have some work to do. We've got Lloyd Biddulph up the front currently at the moment as well on a 1:37.352. So it's going to be interesting to see where these drivers are going to stand on lap times. A lot of them still haven't set times yet, just like Lee Taylor hasn't got a time on the board either. So I think for these guys, they've got to go for it. That's the only way that they can sum up tonight's racing, is they've got to go for it. So let's see how they get on.
Just send it. Basically, drive the car. What James is saying is, if you drive the car well, you'll do well. And I think that is philosophical, truly inspirational as a racing driver to hear that, James. Thank you.
That's right.
But anyway, yeah, no worries. Awesome. But anyway, yeah, qualifying I think is going to be important. Another thing to throw into the dynamic of things, isn't it, is the case that across the two 20-minute sprint races, they have the same point system. So it's a case of, it's not like the first or second race gives you more points at all. So it's that case of compromising the two races, because if you finish really well across race 1 and start towards the back in race 2, you're going to get a really good points haul for race 1, but not so good points haul for race 2. It's those that are going to be consistent across the two races that really are going to come to the limelight of things. Those that maybe stay in the mid-pack of both that can capitalise off that same point system across both events.
Yeah, that's what you've basically just knocked the nail. Oh, as we see Sam Shelton up on 2 wheels there. You've literally knocked the nail on the head there, Zach, to be honest. Because it's 40 points for a win and 35 for second, 30 for third, should we say, 28 for fourth and 26 for fifth. So from their point of view, if they go out and get top 5, they're going to be down between 18, 17, 16, 15, should we say, and they still get 8 points for 14. So if they win and get down to 14th, they're going to go away with 48 points. But then that opens up the doors of whether or not that mid-pack has the more opportunity to score more points, because obviously if you finish 7th, you get 22, and then if you go out again in the position that you finish and you go out and get 3rd, you're going to get 30, so that gives you 52. So yeah, there is pros and cons to each one, I think, Zach, on that one.
It depends what you want from the season, I think. If you're a driver that's looking to benefit off the reverse grid and just try and go for a win and get a bit of a podium here and there, then great. You know, that's your aim, that's what you want. But if you want to aspire well and aspire high and go for the championship, it's a case of seeing where and when you can capitalize, where and when you can make those points back up. And it is going to be those, as we say, that do go, you know, 5th and 5th, or, you know, up there in the top half of the grid for pretty much the majority of the season. And again, it's going to be an interesting one to see as it does develop. Couple of guys still trying to improve on their time. We are approaching halfway through the session, and as it stands, it's a good benchmark time for Lloyd Biddulph. Nearly 4 tenths clear of Matteo Catalan in second place. It's Ian Egan that it rounds off the top 3 places, with Lee Taylor provisionally P4. Fraser Roystance rounds off the top 5. The top 5 separated by a good 7 tenths, but the entire top 10 just under a second and a half. That does sort of bode itself quite well, doesn't it, James, for a close grid in terms of these qualifying times?
Yeah, you've got 1.5 down to 13th. You know, you've got 13 cars who are within 1.5 of a second of each other. And no matter what people think, 1.5 isn't very long. You know, we can count that quite easily. So from their point of view and from this perspective in the race for race 1, this could be an absolute incredible race. And I think for race 2, I think we're just going to be looking at something truly amazing with the amount of cars that's going to be happening. I think it's going to be incredible.
I completely agree, and don't forget, the season only starts here. We go across many different countries to many different tracks over the 7th race season. In 2 weeks' time, we go to Sepang in Malaysia, then to Interlagos, the Dubai Autodrome for round number 4. Then we go to Aragon, the Hockenheim Ring, and Sonoma to round off this season on the 20th of March. A lot of good tracks, I think, a nice diverse set of them, and all of them, I think, really do work when it comes to touring cars, because that's the thing about touring cars, is they work on F1 style tracks like the Redbull Ring, but they can also work on the sort of more club style circuits like like Sonoma. And they can go pretty much anywhere, put them on any track surface, and well, obviously not dirt, but you track layout, track width, whatever, you can put them on any circuit and they will work. And I think that is a fantastic thing about touring car championships. Yeah,
absolutely. You know, we're going to my favourite circuit, Interlagos, so that's exciting for these guys as well, and I think that's one of the things that you will be able to look out for. And as you say, these cars are so versatile, and they will be able to deliver. You know, we've seen them around Donington, we've seen them around Brands Hatch, we've seen them in this short Red Bull circuit, we've seen them pretty much everywhere. And that's the thing with these cars, they're just so versatile and so easily established and can get used to any track surface. But I think it's good to see that these cars are going to such a mixture of grids, and I think that from our point of view, it's definitely something to be looking out for.
Oh, for sure. And just a bit of an update in terms of the time and tells is Luciano Witvoet, the Dutchman, takes the helm at the top of the time machines, about 1.8 tenths clear of the Italian and Matteo Catalan. Lloyd Biddulph, unfortunately for him, falling down to the extremities of P3. However, only 3 1,000ths of a second separate the Italian and the Briton as we approach the latter stages of the qualifying session. Only 1 minute and 37 seconds left. So really is crunch time, really crunching into the final couple of laps. But the important thing is, James, is on race room, it's a little bit similar to iRacing, to my understanding, in the sense that as soon as the timer ticks 0, that's it, you are done.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be one of the important things for these guys as well, is try to get it balance their laps. Like now, James Rawlins is going to be on his very final lap. I don't think he's going to be able to get round and get done again, and I think that's going to be the interesting thing for him, is how he's going to cope with this now. And he's got to try and either go with it, or he's got to really kind of sit back and relax. He's down in 14th, you know. He's not too far off the pace, 1.5 seconds. So let's see how he gets on, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what Rawlins could do here from SOP Esports Racing.
Well, into, as I say, the final moment of qualifying. Those that are on a lap really do have to crunch, and those that have been able to capitalise is Lloyd Biddulph. A 1:37 dead sees him exactly a 10th clear of Luciano Witwer, a renowned driver on this simulator on Racing in a number of different events, and that closes the session. It is going to be Lloyd Biddulph that takes pole position with a 1:37.070 for the Briton. Well, as I say, 1/10 clear of Luciano Witwer, who will join him on the front row. Then comes the Italian and the Irishman, Matteo Catalan and Ian Egan, 3 and 4. Well, Lee Taylor rounds off your top 5. The other Lee of Lee Holm will join him on the third row of the grid with Usama and Fraser Rastance, 7th and 8th. Then comes the big man at the top, Simon Bagos, P9, with Jakob Kveskali, I think. Well, I've completely butchered that name. I'm sorry about that, but he rounds off the top 10 with Matteo Guli, P11. Then comes Milton Tomlinson, P12. Sam Shelton will join him just in behind, P13. Then comes James Rawlins, Phil Raag, Cody Cosford, Krill Bell, Patrick Den, Paul Stinger, Mark Bunyan, Hugh Morris, Ben Sullivan, Trevor Evans, Nick Ervers, and Fabio Gil, the Portuguese driver, to round off the top 25. 1 minute 43 then left of warm-up. A close grid, an interesting grid, and 20 minutes on the clock. What are we looking for going into this race start, James?
Elbows. I think a lot of people are going to be elbows out here, especially in that top 10. Simon Bagos, Fraser Rostance, Marcus Josma, I think they're all going to be really sticking their elbows out and trying to gain as many positions as possible, mate. And that's one of the things I'm looking forward to this evening, because Red Bull, you can be that aggressive, you can go that free wide, you can throw it into the corners, and you know, this is what we're going to be excited about. These guys have got about a minute left to practice, so there you go. Welcome in, Phil, across the pond, Giacomo as well. Much love to you. I hope you are all well. So there we go.
Here we go. Well, I mean, we haven't got long left, of course. Then we go straight into the race. As we say, if you are only now just joining us, 20 minutes will be on the clock. We've just gone through the 10 minutes of qualifying, and indeed the SOP Motorsport channel themselves saying it was very, very close in the end. 1/10 of a second, a blink of an eye separating the top 2 in terms of qualifying between Biddulph and Witwer. 1/10 of a second, James. To us, the naked eye, that's nothing. Absolutely nothing. But in the world of racing, it was the difference between pole and second.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things people forget is 1/10 is literally click of the finger, miss of the braking pedal, or too much on the accelerator, or anything along them lines. And that's what they've got to be looking out for, is how they cope with that. And one of the things they've got to try and do is basically manage everything all at the same time, with traffic and everything at the same time. And you know, it's going to be very, very exciting, guys. Sit back and get ready, because I think this is going to be incredible.
I completely agree with you. I think everyone watching along on the YouTube chat certainly does agree with you. Make sure you are subscribed, turn on the notification bell as well to stay in touch with everything sim racing on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. Give it a like and share. Get you in there, get the stream around, and etc. etc. Get your friends and family enjoying it as well, if they are certainly motorsport fans. And if they're not, I am sure the SOP Esports are going to be a great demonstration of what sim racing is, of what racing is, and what motorsport is in general as well. This is going to be one to remember. We are just moments away from getting underway here at the Redbull Ring Spielberg Grand Prix circuit here on the Race Room Racing Experience. As I say, it's myself, Zach Sweeney, and James Parfitt in the commentary booth, and we'll be here to talk you through all of the action. And well, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of it.
Mate, we've got 30 TCRs. I think it's going to be absolutely incredible. So I think from that point of view, we've definitely got a lot to look forward to.
We have indeed, and the cars are on the grid. We are moments away from getting underway as Lloyd Bidoff on pole position with Luciano Vitford alongside. They are away here in the Red Bull Ring. A decent start actually from the third place man of Egan. He's having a bit of a look to the right hand side of the Dutchman, down in towards turn 1, potentially 3 wide as Lloyd Bidoff feels the pressure, but not quite. Inside line for Egan as he tries to take second place, side by side still as they emerge from turn number 1. A lot of chaos in the background as we got 30 cars trying to funnel their way through up the hill as they rise now towards turn 2. Lloyd Bidoff comfortable, but it's Vitford, Egan and Catalan all fighting for second place. 3 wide nearly. Defensive goes Vitford, trying to hang on the 99. The Irishman Ian Egan trying to go the long way round in his 99 machine in that Cooper layout, but not quite able to get the drive to the outside. And it's going to be Vitford that just about hangs on. Bit of side-by-side action just in behind this fight as well for the likes of 5th and 6th and 7th. And oh my word, this is chaos.
Yeah, you got Simon Bagger, Sam Shelton having a good old go down into Schlossgold as well. Zach, we've got little banks of 2 here with these guys, and then we've got Fraser Rostock's ahead of that in his little Hyundai Elantra. So there's a lot going on, and we've got the 2 Lynx & Co as well, Matteo Julie and Josma side by side running into Rouch. So there's a lot of action so far, but then again, we've got the cars on track and we've got the action we wanted to. I'm not quite sure there was anything else we were going to deal with really.
No, still side by side, these guys fighting it out as they run their way through turn number 7 in towards 8, and oh my word, a little bit wide, invites the Hyundai through, and might actually still be feeling the pressure of the Italian Matteo Gulli just in behind him as well. But we took off the first lap of many here at the Red Bull Ring, and still Sam Shelton trying to hang on as best he possibly can. Into the pit lane comes one of the cars just in behind there. That might be the pole, I think, not entirely sure. We'll have to follow that up in just a second. Interesting as to why he's going to come into the pit lane, and yes, it was indeed. Back to the front though, Lloyd Bidoff, he couldn't have asked for a better start, James.
No, definitely not, and I think that's one of the things he's got there as well. There's a lot of penalties coming through as well. Slow down penalty, continue to abuse track limits. There's a lot happening all at the same time, so be aware we will try and keep up as best that we possibly can. But Matteo Gill here as well with Sam Shelton and Marcus Josma. Zach, they're going to have a nice little tasty battle here, I think. As I think Shelton and Josma are going to be going for it on that run down into Schlossgold.
Oh, absolutely. The slipstream is of vital importance, and if Shelton can get the drive off the corner that he was hoping for, he might well have a little bit of a look versus Marcus Joma down in towards turn number 4. Not quite close enough, but you can see just in the background there are a couple of cars jostling for position. Patrick Den and Fabio Gill started from the quite far back actually in this race. Done a good job of recovering, making the most of the early lap carnage, and a number of drivers getting those slowdown penalties, abusing track limits. They get 30 incident points over the course of this race, James. They're going to add up quite quickly as we go through. Yeah, we talked about this off the broadcast basically before we started. They do have 30 points and then they will be disqualified. Now, if it's anything like any other racing simulators that we know, the track limits are really, really tight here, so they've got to be really, really careful. And I think one of the things they've got to look out for is how they're taking turns and how much wide berth they're giving them, because they've got to stay within the track limits. And what that means is obviously four wheels are off the left-hand side of the white line, then obviously you've got an off track. It's fairly obvious, but that can mount up and you can get 2 or 3 of them a lap. Very, very easily indeed. A couple of moves being made down in towards turn number 1 once more for ticking off yet another lap and to start a new one. There is Paul Stinger versus James Rawlins fighting now for what is P16. Oh my word, a car in the background flipping over not once, twice, 3, maybe 4 times, and he's landed on his roof, unfortunately. Who's this? Oh, he's managed to reset back to the circuit. That's Bunyan, unfortunately, Mike Bunyan. Yeah, wow, that is going to be leaving some bruises on that car, unfortunately for him. But we cut back to the main bit of action towards the front. It's Shelton versus Gooley trying to have a bit of a look. Maybe the Ballas Esports driver outside line for turn number 4. Sam Shelton trying to keep his nose there, but unfortunately, oh my word, very close to contact as they emerge off the exit. And that is something that we see both in the sim and in real life. Is the sense that, sorry, that's not Sam Shelton. It's Simon Baggas. Unfortunately, getting that one a little bit mixed up. But a move we see oftentimes both in the sim and in real life, James, is that moving towards turn 4, often leaving the car on the outside worse off.
Yeah, because they've only in a polite way, all they've got to do is open up the steering, right? They can open up the steering coming out that corner, and there's nowhere for him to go. Literally, they just let the car drift, and he's just got to go with it, and that's why that outside line down into Schlossgold, down into turn 4, is not the best line possible. They've got to try and tighten it up as best as can. If anything, try and get that person off that inside line, Zach, so they can at least try and bully him away, so they've got a little bit of room.
Yeah, it's all about respect, but sometimes in touring cars you don't get much of it. But yeah, it's always going to be a fight all the way through this race, I'm sure. Yeah, decent move there from Simon Vegas to solidify himself inside the top 10. But the Italian Ballast Esports, a well-renowned esports establishment, particularly in the world of racing, is going to want to try and start making his way forward, make those inroads, and that is not the way to do it. Very, very wide, way too late on the brakes and tapping the barrier off the exit of turn 3, and unfortunately for him, that's going to drop him at multiple places down the timing tower. Yeah,
and I think that was just maybe a little bit more excessive than kind of he needed to. I think he just took it a little bit too far, and unfortunately for him, put it into the wall. But we've got Fraser Rostods and Lee Horn here battling away from Next Gen Racing Green and Next Gen Racing. So it's a bit of an inter-team battle, so that should be in. And Julie's got a drive-through penalty.
Already a drive-through racking up. That is not what you want to open up not only the race but also the season. That is just mildly unfortunate, I think, and you can only look, feel sympathy for them in that regards, because it's so easily done, particularly as we say at the Redbull Ring, and with front-wheel drive cars, they naturally want to understeer. You have to remember that those front wheels are doing the turning and the powering when it comes to the corner exit around these corners, so very susceptible to the track penalties is what we're saying in that regard. A little bit further back, a fight here between Chris Bell and James Rawlins, trying to fight over what is now 17th place. And yeah, getting word from Mark Bunyan that he did indeed do a flip inside line for the Audi in towards turn 1. Oh my word, his nose nearly chopped off there from Chris Bell, getting very aggressive on the outside line there and exceeding the track as well on the exit for good measure. We're having to focus our attention pretty much everywhere, James. You look up, you look down, and there's a fight somewhere.
Yeah, there's fights all the way through. We've got about 4 pockets of battles at the moment. Matteo Catalan are mixed in a battle with Lee Taylor. We've got Lee Horn and Michael Josma and Sam Sheldon. They're going to be coming together very soon. We've got Fabio Gill, Cody Cosford are also mixed up as well, and James at Rawlins and Ben Sullivan. So we are trying to keep you up to date with all the action, but there is so much of it going on currently at the moment. It's a bit hard where to put the main focus, I think, Zach.
Yeah, we don't really know where to look, and that is the issue. It's a good issue, it's a good headache to have, but when you've got the lead 2 separated by under half a second, when you've got the majority of the midfield separated by less than half a second, it's so difficult to know where to look. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting 12 minutes, I'm sure, of this race. Really looking forward to seeing how the dynamic of it unfolds. However, Lloyd Bidoff and Luciano Vitvuet separated by nothing. They are, however, pulling away from Ian Agan just in behind. Is this a strategical effort from Vitvuet, or is he actually trying to eye up the move for the race lead? Down and towards turn 1, nothing coming about this time around. Does he want to work with Bidoff? Does he want to turn this into a 2-horse race rather than risk bringing the rest of the pack into the mix?
One of the things they don't want to be doing is fighting over the spot, right? Because they've got Ian Egan behind. It's 2.8 seconds back at the moment. So they've got enough buffer, but what they can't do is fight, and that buffer starts coming down. And that's one of the things they've got to look out for, is to make sure they're not fighting amongst themselves. That's going to eventually bring Egan in to the battle. They've got to try and stay clean. And from Vitvo's point of view, over Bidoff here, I would probably sit behind him for as long as possible and try and make a move within the last sort of 3 to 5 minutes, really.
Oh yeah, for sure. You want to strike when they can't counter-attack, and that is definitely for face value is going to be the final lap, the final corner really is where you want to get it done, but that carries a lot of risk and can end up with you bottling the race win if you're not careful. So you've got to pick your moments well, you've got to seize any opportunity that comes your way. But Luciano Vitvuet is very much sniffing at the rear end of Lloyd Bidoff and trying to close the gap and pile the pressure on more than anything. We're right on board with him now. There's the mistake maybe from the Briton. Now the Dutchman goes to the inside of turn number 10. Is Bidoff going to try and get the up and under? He is. They're going to emerge side by side as they run their way down the pitch straight towards turn number 1. Lloyd Bidoff with a big mistake allows Luciano Vitvoet to have a sniff at taking the reins, darting to the right hand side, trying to be late on the brakes in towards turn number 1. But Lloyd Bidoff just hangs on at the end of that one. I don't know how he's done that, but the switcheroo at turn number 10 has allowed him to hang on. But Luciano Vitvoet, his strategy of piling the pressure on certainly now is working, and Lloyd Bidoff, his heart is going to be in his mouth as they ride up the hill towards turn 3.
Yeah, how Bidoff did not lose that position is beyond me. I tell you what, that was a great. That, I suppose, is what we could call the pinnacle of recovery driving, Zach, and that's one of the things that Bidoff has managed to do. He made a mistake, he didn't panic about it, and he's trying as best as he can to recover from what he did, and he recovered in such a way that Vitvoet couldn't just get through. He's made a mistake there, though, unfortunately, on that run, that round slosh go down in a Roush, and I've got a funny feeling Vitvoet's going to get it, and he has. Is now Vitvoet in the lead with Bidoff in second.
Costly mistakes for Lloyd Bidoff. Looks so in control, particularly after his pole position. Remember, these two separated by just a 1/10 of a second, nothing between the two. But now it comes into the race and it comes down to who flinches first. There's the move between these two in the fight for 5th place. Lee Taylor versus the Briton of Lee just in behind. Fraser Roston's just in behind him there in the Hyundai Elantra. The fight for 6th. We do apologise, but yeah, running the way in towards turn number 10. Luciano Vitvoet, though, is he going to run away with this? He's got the pace and got the consistency. He's proven that, and Bidoff confidence is definitely going to have taken a hit after that small little incursion at both turn number 9 and turn number 3.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We started off talking about it. We started off how we recovered from that panic, but at the same time, maybe that did have an effect on Bidoff. We don't obviously necessarily know what's going on in his car. He might have had a panic and then didn't panic, and now he's panicking again, and you can see him here trying to make this move. He's just kind of unsettling Vitvoet going into Remus. Now, whether or not he can and whether or not Vitvoet's going to allow him to, of course, is a completely different matter. But from these 2 points of view, Bidoff made a mistake. He recovered, then he made him another one and got punished. Now, for me, that's a sign of a driver panicking. He makes one, he gets it back under control, he thinks, okay, I've got this, and then he makes another one. And that is just a sheer sign that he may have had that brief moment on that track for the last couple of corners where he's had a panic.
Yeah, it's that negative feedback loop, or I guess in some cases positive feedback loops, but in a negative manner. You make one, then it feeds into another, then it feeds into another. That knock of confidence really is the be all and end all, and Lloyd Bidoff is going to need to regain that composure, reignite that spark that sees him at the form that we saw for the first part of this race. And he needs that consistency, he needs that pace, and he needs something to tackle the Dutchman that is flying now at the top of the timing tower. A little bit further back, we've got a fight here between the two Britons, the fight for 15th now between Paul Stinger and James Rawlins, separated by just 0.3 of a second. Now they're fighting over the lower point scores in this race, and also fighting over, well, a couple of positions in terms of the reverse grid race. How hard are they going to want to fight for? I mean, it's only for 15th. It's only a swing of a couple of points. And if Rawlins get through, he's actually going to start one place further back when it comes to race 2. How interested is he going to be in this P15?
And that is why I jumped on board here, because it's whether or not Rawlins is going to want to make that move past Stinger. Yes, for where he is currently at the moment in 16th, he gets 4 points. But as you say, he starts one place back, and currently he's made that move past Stinger, so clearly, from our point of view, Zach, he clearly is desperately wanting to get past, and he definitely did do. But, you know, it is all about whether or not they're going to be, what their grid position is going to be in race 2. And at the moment, these guys are sitting down in, I think it's 3rd and 4th, isn't it? For first, second, 3rd, yeah, 3rd and 4th, and they're still going for it. So from their point of view, they've got to weigh up what's going to be important and what's not going to be important.
it's their own goals in this particular event and what they want to achieve. A bit of a fight now for 8th between Marcus Uama and Sam Shelton, fighting their way in towards turn number 6, and Sam Shelton still playing the back to the Hyundai just in front of him there, or actually the Lynx, I do apologise, just in front of him of Yusma, and having a bit of a look, putting the pressure on, but nothing really coming about on this particular occasion. It sometimes is a waiting game here at the Red Bull Ring. You have to pick your moments well, and unfortunately, I think for Sam Shelton he's getting a little bit too desperate, a little bit too quickly. He's going for moves where you don't typically see them, and all it's doing is tarnishing his momentum.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's got to be a little bit more patient. I think he's got to use what he's got in front of him currently and use the track that's there. And as you can see, Bidoff and Wittvogt doing exactly the same thing. Wittvogt's out in front. Bidoff is tucked up right behind him. Catalan and Taylor are right behind that as well. So you see these guys coming on that run now as well. And we've got Taylor trying to make with Egan, Catalan. Oh, there's contact there. Catalan comes in. It's still in third currently at the moment, but I think Egan's going to be coming back at him very, very shortly there. And then you got Fraser Roston's battle here as well with Lee Horn. So there's a lot going on, and we've still got 4.5 minutes remaining.
Oh yeah, there's a lot going on, and not long to decide it all. The crunch time really is now where you want to start, digging deep and trying to find something extra to make those moves when it counts. Back up to the fight now for the podium between the Italian and the Irishman of Catalan versus Egan, and trying to have a bit of a look to the outside, practically pushing him through the infield section now is Egan, the Irishman, and now over the curve at turn 8, really using a lot of the track, but fighting for a podium. This is such an important place, and now defensive goes Catalan. It's going to be the Irishman to the outside line in equal chassis, the equal setup. The only thing counting for it is the driver. Now maybe going for the dart in towards turn 10, not quite able to, is Ian Egan, and now off the exit it's going to be the drive for him to see if he can actually get that move done, but I don't think it's going to be quite close enough. He might just have to sit back in behind and wait for that move up the hill towards Remus. But yeah, you can definitely tell these two want it, and understandably so. Oh my word, a lot of roll for that poor Cooper Leon. That was very close to replicating Mark Bunyan there, but it's clear that it's quite easily done.
Yeah, I think there was a couple earlier on as well. There was a photo went out of two Lynx & Co's, and literally going around that corner, they were both on two wheels at the same time, and the image looked absolutely incredible. So fair play to whoever managed to grab that one in time. But that image of the two Lynx & Co's up on their two wheels was rather impressive, I've got to be honest.
This one for the highlights, I'm sure, to have a bit of a look, and wow, that was just very picturesque and very interesting as to how things work here in the Roller Race Room. But yeah, you can definitely tell that touring car wanted to topple. Once again, Sam Shelton having a bit of a look to the inside of Yusma down towards turn number 4. Again, nothing materialising just yet, but he has to wisen up. I think he has to pick his moments well, because with only 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock, he's not got long left to spark that move, and he doesn't want to leave it too late.
No, definitely not. I think Bidoff is going to be looking now. They're going to have one more lap here this evening at the Red Bull Ring. So it's going to be interesting to see what Bidoff can do. We've got Shelton battling it away here with Yusma as well. These guys are going to be going into one more as well to see what this materializes here. I think the thing is as well, Zach, though, is why they're in this position of first, second, third, fourth, fifth. They might as well try and go as high as they physically can, because obviously they're going to be further down the order. They're going to be 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th and beyond. If you're obviously Wittvogt, you're going to be down in 18th. So for him, he needs to hang on to this position. What he doesn't want to do is have any issues, any problems, and the last thing he wants to do is stick it in the wall and go to the mid-pack, because as we've seen with races of this amount of cars, the mid-pack is where sometimes the chaos commences, and these guys want to try and avoid the chaos, and I think that's one of the things we are going to be looking out for. As we can see here, nothing doing. I did jump back with Egan and Catalan because they're side by side as well.
They are indeed. We saw side-by-side Victor and Biddulph, and now the fight for the podium as well. Penultimate lap of the race, of course, I believe. I think it will be, last lap next time by. The fight for the podium raging on still. It's Egan looking to the outside of turn number 6. Catalan holding on valiantly for the podium place. But also, we've got to keep our eye at the front of the field between Luciano Victor and Lloyd Biddulph, as well as their titanic battle for victory is now going to come to a close with one more lap left to go in this 20-minute race number 1 of the first round of the SOP Esports, the WTCR of 2023. We certainly cannot wait to see how this race ends. We certainly cannot wait to see how the next one starts, but stick around because this is going to be a battle to remember. One more lap and only a limited amount of opportunities left for Biddulph to try and reclaim that place at the front. Yeah,
you've got literally about 1 minute, 38 seconds, give or take, on their lap time of Biddulph is going to try and make this move. Can he make the move? That's going to be the interesting thing here, I think, for these guys as well. And I want to know how they're going to cope with it. You know, Biddulph's got to be looking at China Center. You can see him there. Chinese wing is going.
Trying. He had a look.
He's looking on the exit as well, Zach. I don't know, there's quite a lot of movement going on from Catalan, from Vitfot here as well. So I think from his point of view, he needs to be a little bit careful because Biddulph is trying as best he can.
He is indeed. Now late as he can to the outside line of turn number 4. Late on the brakes as well for Lloyd Biddulph. Side by side with Luciano Vitfort. It gets pushed to the extremities of the circuit, and it's going to be Lloyd Biddulph that has to play second fiddle. And he's got half a lap left to go to the side at this race. Luciano Vitfort hanging on right at the end, and he's really trying his absolute best to make that Cupra Leon as wide as it possibly can. Has he got the margin to hang on? Now just 4 corners left to go. Now he makes it 3 through turn 8. Now next, the long right-hander just before you set yourself up for turns 9 and turn 10. Luciano Vitfort has been calm, composed, consistent, and most importantly, very, very quick. Second place on the grid. Now just 2 more corners left. Is there anything Lloyd Biddulph can do, or is it going to be a race 1 victory for Luciano Vitfort? If he can keep it clean, he's going to see the checkered flag first. The Dutchman, the Flying Dutchman, sees the checkered flag to take victory here in the Styrian Mountains at the Redbull Ring for race 1, round 1 of the SOP Esports WTCR. The fight for the podium also rages on. It is going to be actually Ian Egan that takes the podium as well, but with Matteo Catalan just in behind. A very close scrap between Lee Taylor, Lee Holm, and a lot of people actually for the extremities of the top 5. A very tight battle, a very tight race, a very decisive race, and one that was very much not decided until that final lap. Yeah,
the interesting thing about Phil Ragg's car is he looks like he's hit something here, because his rear car, as you can see Phil out on the left-hand side there, we can't actually get a decent shot. It actually looks like he's got a dent in the front of that car. Maybe it's just my picture. Maybe. But it actually looks like he has got some damage. But there are the results, Zach.
Luciano Vitfort takes victory after 14 close, enthralling laps here at the Redbull Ring. Lloyd Biddulph, P2 with Ian Egan joining him on the 3rd step of the podium. Matteo Catalan and Lee Taylor, your top 5. Lee Holm, Fraser Rayston, Sam Shelton, Marcus Usma, and Simon Vegas, your top 10. Fabio Gil from right back at the back of the pack, the Portuguese driver, up into P number 11. Milton Tomlinson, P12. Cody Cosford, Phil Ragg, James Rawlins, Chris Bell, Matthew Guley, Ben Sullivan, Hugh Morris, Nick Irvis, Paul Slinger, Patrick Den, Mark Bunyan, and Jacek Kowalewski, I believe, the 24th car to get to the check flag. I don't actually think he managed to finish that race after we saw him in the pit lane. What a race that was. What a opener to this season, to this event. And now we get to do it all again, but with the top 18 reverse.
Yeah. Welcome. Do you know what? I've got a funny feeling with how reverse grids go and how we are aware how reverse grids go as well. It's this could be somewhat chaotic, and I think that's going to be the interesting thing here is how this one pans out, and we're going to be looking how it runs. They've got a top 18. They want to get to the end, but they've got to do it as carefully as possible, because otherwise it could just all go wrong, and I'm scared. I'm a little bit worried, but I'm hoping they can all make it through. You know, we've got 50 seconds of the warm-up, so let's see how we can get on here as well, and hopefully we'll be able to see some good clean racing. Vitfort or Biddulph coming through the field. What do you reckon, Zach?
You've asked me. I was going to ask you. That's horrible of you. I mean, It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's a case of how hard do they want to push? How fast do they want to come through the field? Because they've got 20 minutes. And depending on how you look at it, that's either a really long time or a really short amount of time. They've got 20 minutes. They've got 14 laps. Great. That's plenty of time, really, to sort of take their time. But also on the flip side of that, in completely nonsensical ways of thinking about it, that's also no time at all. 20 minutes, that's going to fly by. So they've really got to pick their moments well. They've got to compromise both speed, consistency, and aggression. I mean, the last time we commentated on a touring car season opener, I sort of compared it to giving a baby a fork and telling him not to stick it in a plug socket. And I think that still applies here. You've got to weigh up your risks and your rewards and think, how much do you actually want that one place, considering you still have a good portion of the race left to go.
Yeah, you tell a racer driver not to push. Let me know how you get on.
Exactly. They want to win, and they want to go for it, especially Vitvoet, especially Bidoff, because both of them have something to prove. Yes, Vitvoet has won the first race. He wants to make it 2-2, whereas Lloyd Bidoff, he lost the first race. He wants to claw back and at least make it one victory of the night.
Yeah, but that's the thing they've got to look out for, is that coming through. They've got to really be careful coming through. If they're not careful, it could just all go wrong. And I think from these guys' point of view, for Bidoff and Vitvoet and everything else, they've got to be careful, mate, because if they start coming through in the wrong place and they get pushed out or anywhere, run wide or off tracks or incident points or anything along the lines that we've spoke about, they're going to be in trouble. So tune in for this one, because this second race is going to be absolutely incredible, guys. And make sure you do sit back and enjoy. Here we go, Zach.
Here we go indeed. It's Sullivan Gulli, your front row for race number 2. 20 minutes on the clock. We are go. They put their foot to the floor and they hope. And a great start for the Italian. Sullivan has left with his trousers around his ankles as they climb the hill towards turn number 1. It's Gulli that takes the lead. Sullivan just in behind. Chris Bell settling into 3rd place. But a very poor start for the Hyundai of Sullivan. He's going to try and claw back and make those moves back up for the reverse grid race of round number 1. Luciano Vitvoet and Lloyd Bidoff both trying to claw up some places as well as they start right at the back of the pack. And that's going to be an interesting dynamic to see as it develops, but you have to focus at the front. Is Gulli that tries to hang on. Is Ben Sullivan going to try and get the up and under as they climb the hill? Exit now of turn 3. Very difficult corner. And now Chris Bell is actually eyeing up the move. And Ben Sullivan, unfortunately, has suffered a very, very poor start. Really started this race on the wrong foot.
Yeah, he definitely did. He's down into second at the moment, and he is under attack from Bell. It's going to be interesting to see how he gets on, but there's a lot of carnage. Look at these cars. 3 wide at some point in all of that. And Luciano Vitvoet is currently sitting in 10th place. However, Bidoff is in 15th. So Vitvoet has got an absolute flyer, and Bidoff not so much. So from Bidoff's point of view now, we're going to compare where they're at already in the first race. Vitvoet is absolutely flying, and there's contact with Catalan and Rostons behind him as well. Them guys are rubbing, well, consistently. I think they've decided the paint on each other's car is underway, and you can see it here. It's complete and utter chaos. Lee Horn, Tomlinson, Dennis, and all of these guys mixed in this midfield battle. And Bidoff now is in 14th, and Vitvoet is now in 9th.
Who to look at, who to name, who to praise really on this opening lap. So much stuff, so much carnage, but one driver stands out. Luciano Vitvoet, the Ballas Esports driver, up 9 places on this opening lap. Well established inside the top 10 and well looking forward to the fight at the front. A bit of a mistake actually as we see a bit of carnage start to emerge. Fabio Gil, we follow the Portuguese driver who really impressed in race 1 and is looking to impress again in race 2. He's trying to eye up the podium now and get himself up in a P3. He's against Cody Cosford. Now to the left-hand side of the circuit, the right-hand side of the shot as they go around the outside of turn number 3, gets forced to the red and white curb on the exit of the circuit, not quite being able to get the drive off the corner. Also in behind them, a bit of side-by-side action. Where is it their side-by-side action? Phil Ragg and Sam Shelton fighting over P5 and P6 just in behind them as well. How do you call this, James? So much stuff going on, so much action. There's the dive as well from the Cupra Leon. Oh my word, in towards turn number 4. That was bold, brave and brilliant. Arguably maybe even a little bit silly, but he's managed to pull it off, and one of the Hyundais has been forced off the circuit as well. Wow.
I'm not quite sure where Vitvoet's going to be sitting on points, right? Because he has just muscled his way from 18th to 7th. He's made up 11 places already Lee. He's had a lot of contact. I'm not going to lie, there was contact all over the place currently at the moment. But for Vinfart and Phil Ragg, they're going to be going at it currently at the moment as well, with Chris Bell in the mix just in front of them. And it's poor old Phil Ragg's gone down the order a little bit. He's battling away with Lee Horn here as they're coming around the corner. You've got beyond that, you've got Ross Todd's trying to have a good old ding-dong here with Mario Catalan. So, yeah, Zach, if you want to just call it away, mate, and I'll try and point the cameras, because at the moment there is just everywhere it's got something happening, and it's just yeah, where do we go?
I don't know, James. I'll be completely honest with you, mate. I haven't got enough eyes. I can't focus on anyone at this point in time. You look and it's like, oh my god, he's going for a dive. Oh wait, no, he's going for a dive. He's going for a dive. They all want a slice of the pie. They all want to impress on the broadcast, and I do not blame them one bit. I'm smiling from ear to ear at the moment, but wow, I cannot wait to see the rest of this race. The reverse grids always spice things up, always show a discrepancy in terms of paces, different drivers at different points on the circuit, and wow, this is one to watch. Do not click away one bit, because this is a race that will not get boring, provided Luciano Bitwood already in sight of the race leaders, already trying to eye him up. There you can see him there, just trying to follow through. There's a dive potentially. Oh my word, bit of contact sent round, and oh my word, there's Rostans off the road. There's a car in the barrier as well to the right hand side of the circuit. I mean, it's too good to be true. We couldn't have gone this long without at least one thing going wrong.
Yeah, I think that was Milton Thomas, and Dennis was caught up on the right hand side there. He's up again. Poor old Dennis. Poor old Milton Thomas and Dennis here has just been bullied all the way down to B23. Somebody's stolen his lunch money. Somebody's made him go hungry, because Dennis has got no lunch now and he's at the back of the grid. He needs to go try and find some money to be able to buy his way forward, but there's a lot going on there, Zach, in front of that.
I do love our analogies, James. They are fantastic. We've got don't give a toddler a fork and tell them to stick it in a plug socket. You've got someone losing their lunch money and having to buy their way back to the front. Only here on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel, ladies and gents. And now we focus on a fight here. Fabio Gill, Ben Sullivan. Oh my word. Having a bit of a look there, Ben Sullivan. Oh my, yeah. Again, speechless at the quality of driving. Lee Holm versus Ben Sullivan. I do apologise. And well, Luciano Vitfuit, amongst all of that, James, up now into second place, and I don't get it. There's the fight for third as well. Fabio Gill looking to the outside. He likes that move, and it might well stick for him this time by the Portuguese on the outside. Cody Cosford trying to give him the squeeze. They are still going to be side by side, the Cupra Leon and the other Cupra Leon as well, as they run downhill towards turn number 4. The Hyundai Elantra, Fabio Gill, outside line, left-hand side of the circuit. He's very brave on the brakes, very committed, very poised, and that car was always going to hit the marks and just stay exactly where he wanted that car to be. Fabio Gill, I mean, set Luciano Vitfuit aside, who has really impressed head and shoulders, I think, as the driver of the day so far. Fabio Gill, he's got to have a mention. I mean, the way he danced his way up the field in race 1, the way he's doing the exact same in race 2, between the pair of them, they'd make a mighty duo.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's one of the things here that why TCRs is so much fun to commentate on, because they just literally throw everything there as well. I used to be the other day, as you can see, that Sam Shelton unfortunately going a little bit wide. Not Sam Shelton, sorry, Ben Sullivan. But I feel sorry for Sullivan as well, right? Because considering where he started here, Zach, he's another one that just reminds me of somebody that's had their lunch money stolen. Look at him, he's just being bullied out here. And poor old Ben Sullivan is going down the order faster than me eating McDonald's. He's just slipping constantly downwards. I do feel sorry for him a little bit. He's kind of just been muscled out the way. And then, you know, here from the Sausage Dodgers racing team, it's a bit of a shame to see him go down. He's now down in 15th. So I'm a little bit upset for Ben Sullivan there as well. But, you know, racing is racing, and that's what's been going on here at the moment. As we see Lee Horn here having a battle with Cody Cosford.
Lee Horn and Cody Cosford indeed fighting for what is P number 4 in this race. You can see Horn got the car ahead going in, but you can see the very late break in there to try and hang on and to stay in that 4th place. Cody Cosford, another one of those drivers that worked his way up and unfortunately is now maybe starting to drop back a little bit. But it's that thing, is it? Oh my word, there's actually the Sen having a bit of a look to the inside. He's been given the space by Lee Horn and might actually still have a look. It was a good effort from Cody Cosford, but not quite enough Luciano Vitford getting a slowdown for exceeding track limits, so maybe could be his own enemy, I think, in this race. The only thing that can really stop him is himself, you would have to argue. But when it comes to touring cars, the only thing I can really compare this to is go-karting, because they're bumper to bumper, the entire pack, and all it takes is one thing to go wrong, one overtake, and everyone behind starts licking their lips, starts seeing red, and starts charging for you because they see weakness, they see vulnerability, and they want to capitalize on that.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's one of the things here they've got to look out for. Ian Egan and Lloyd Biddulph are battling away with Chris Bell in front of them. We've got Sam Shelton as well. Bell has run a little bit wide. Biddulph and Egan up side by side now as they're going in to the Remus at the top part of the circuit. Ian Egan battling away. Is he going to make it through with Simon Baggers? Are they both going to make it past Chris Bell? They literally are at the moment. Biddulph, oh, there's contact there on the inside there as well from Biddulph. He had that contact, and let's see how he can hang on. Can he hang on to this position? As you can see there up in front as well, you've got Simon Baggers battling it away as well here with Cody Cosford. Cody's come down the order. Ian Egan, another one there as well. Sam Shelton involved in this one. There's Lee Taylor. He looks like he's just run a little bit wide on the entrance as well. But all in all, this battle here with Baggers currently sitting in, where is he, 7th, and battling away with Cosford 6th and 5th. They're just backwards and forwards. Even the screen, even the overlay can't keep up at the bottom. It's just flicking backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. It's just so much happening in this event overall. And I don't know, Zach, where we're going to look at next, because this has just been absolutely incredible.
I would not want to be in your position, James, let's put it that way. You are probably frantically seeing, oh, they're close, no, they're close. Where do we look? Where do we point our cameras? Because you can point it anywhere and get a fantastic fight. Simon Vegas trying to make the move versus Catalan, a very tight, very close fight. Ian Egan now trying to make the move as well, having a bit of a look in towards turn number 1. You can see just people trying to slot in just in behind there as well. The fight between a couple of drivers as well in towards turn number 1, trying to emerge better off on the exit. That's Chris Bell versus Marcus Usma as well, and again, so much going on. I know we say it time and time again, and you're probably getting sick of hearing it, but there just is, and it's frantic, and I'm loving it. This is what I commentate for. This is why I enjoy what I do so much. Outside line for the Hyundai of Chris Bell, not quite what he wants, and has to tuck in just behind on this particular occasion. James, again, it's fantastic. There's a slowdown. Is that Simon Vegas losing places because of that slowdown? That's a horrible place to get one. I'm guessing he went wide at the exit of turn 3, and what that's done is it's tarnished his momentum completely and cost him, he's outside of the top 10, down to 14th now with Simon Vegas. That is probably the worst slowdown in the history of slowdowns.
Yeah, he took a big chunk there as well, and I'm wondering if there was any issues beyond that slowdown, because you see him in race room, but you never really see him that severe. You know, we have the steward's message pop up on the top side there on the right-hand side of the screen, but you never see them take it, and that's the thing. They're normally very minor, but that one there for Baggers was huge. It's dropped him all the way down into 17th place. It'll be interesting to see if we can find out what happened to him, because at the moment he's dropped all the way down into 17th place here, as well as Fabio Gil, Matty Julie, and Luciano Vitford is in the lead, but Matteo Julie and Fabio Gil are battling away here as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens now as we're looking back at Fabio Gil on this run up into Remus here. He's chinking around on the right hand side. You see him alongside of us. Where's he going to go? He's trying to run that outside line, Zach, and that outside line doesn't really work in that corner, because you've got to try and send it a little bit further on to try and pull it back. And unless you can get a stellar run, which Fabio Gil possibly may have done, down into Schlossgold here, how is he going to do this? Matteo Juli's just got to literally, this is where we're talking about, he's got to open up the steering, send him wide a little bit. He hasn't. He's got it deep. Gil's come back here, Zach, and he's going to get him on that run down through the Roush. Job done there for Fabio Gil.
Yeah, job done indeed. Fantastic bit of squabbling. There could be another look there from Cooley, having a bit of a look. So close to contact, so perilously close. flirting with disaster between the Italian and the Portuguese driver. Again, descending towards turn 7. There's contact. They've gotten away with it. No harm, no foul. But Matteo Giuli having a bit of a look now, tucking back in behind. He is not letting Gil get away with this one at all. He wants that second place, but they've got to be careful. Lee Horn and that Cooper Leon is definitely looking and licking his lips. He wants these places. He wants to get himself onto the podium, but these guys are not giving an inch. The gloves are off. Inside line again. He's gone wide. Fabio Gil forced off the circuit. Here comes Horn with a better run. Could we see Matteo Giuli off the podium? Potentially so. Here comes the Cupra, right hand side, and he might well have the edge in towards turn 1. Fabio Gil is going to love this. He's going to want the best run possible out of turn 1. Side by side, just in behind this as well between Cosford and Egan. Up and under for the Italian. Has he got it? Not quite, and he might actually see himself side by side again. This is allowing Gil to get away for second place. Fantastic race so far from the man from Portugal, but the fight, what the attention is focused on is the Italian versus the Briton. You can see the 79 Cooper Leon to the outside left hand side for turn number 3, but not quite enough, as we saw. Back to this fight now between a number of cars. There's the send. Wow, what a send. Now maybe 3 wide on the exit. Where to look, who to call. This is chaos.
Yeah, you've got Matteo Catalan, Ian Egan and Cody Cosford all wrapped up in this battle here. You can see the 3 of them there, all in the same livery, making it absolutely impossible here for us to try and call this as best as we possibly can. But at the front of this battle is Catalan. Then we've got Egan, then we've got Cosford, and then we've got Usma, who's going to mix up as well. But we have got a 4-way battle here, materialising really nicely within the last 5.5 minutes. We've got this battle here with Julie and Lee Horn. They're just going backwards and forwards. Gil is there going, thank you very much, I got away from it all, because Gil was involved with that Julie battle and they were going at it. They were literally, the wives were in the passenger seats throwing out all the utensils, the pots, the plates and everything at the driver behind, and the other ones there flopping them forward. It was absolutely incredible, and they were throwing the car at each other just for good health. So take a bow, Fabio Gil, Matteo Julie here with Lee Horn now catching up as they're going down into turn 1. On the right hand side is Lee Horn. Is he going to be able to get him into turn 1, Zach? Over to you.
Oh my god, outside line for Lee Horn. That's definitely bold and brave, and he's managed to make it stick. Not oftentimes you see that. He's kept it on the circuit as well and actually kept his car ahead. However, now Giuli has got the slipstream uphill and maybe the lateness on the brakes as well in towards turn number 3. Is he close enough? Is he going to want to go for this end? Defensive goes Horn, maybe defending thin air into the middle of the circuit. He's going to go in deep. He's gone in way too deep, and underneath him goes the Italian back up onto the podium, and Lee Horn has completely thrown that away. The fight for P10 as well. Sam Shelton versus Fraser restarts. The 2 Hyundais fighting very, very tight for the final place inside the top 10. Still going to be scoring points for it, of course, but wow, that is fantastic battling.
He's been DQ'd. He's in the pits.
Oh,
he must have been.
That was just 30 incident.
Yeah, he must have been, because he's just literally gone straight to the pits. Fraser Rostad must be done here, because he literally was battling that way. He hit Sam Shelton, and that was it. He's disappeared off track straight into the pits. So poor old Rostads, your jobs are done for the evening, but that's exactly one of the things we were talking about here, Zach. How 30 points can roll on. He's still got 3.5 minutes left.
Yeah, they can learn that quickly, and all it takes is one little bit of contact, and yeah, you've got to be careful, and it gets to a point where you really do have to start driving conservatively in order to not make yourself susceptible to a disqualification. That's that thing that we go back to about consistency, about racecraft, about patience. But wow, no shortage of action at all. You cannot say we've been deprived for this race, for this event. The last 2 races have been phenomenal, and we still have a couple more minutes, a couple more laps in this race. The fight between Giuli and Horn still raging on as we focus on the fight for 5th. Matteo Catalan versus Ian Egan.
We've jumped
back to this fight. We've jumped forward. P3, Lee Horn, is he ducking and diving? He's trying to see the gap to the right-hand side, but it's not emerging. Matteo Giuli waiting as late as possible. Now the middle of the circuit. Lee Horn outside line as late as he possibly can go on the brakes. He's trying not to replicate. He's got the up and under, and he might have the drive here, James.
Yeah, he's going to try and get this run down into Schlossgold. I've had to stand up here because I cannot sit still watching this at the moment with Lee Horn. He's got Matteo Giuli behind him, and he's chasing him. Giuli's trying to have a go, and these guys have literally been backwards and forwards. They've both made mistakes. They've both let each other through. They've got to try and tidy it up for the last, literally, it's going to be 1 and 1 more. And they've got to try and settle down here currently at the moment. It's going to be difficult. I'm aware of that, and I understand that when you're in a battle. I get it. I really do, guys. But boy, boy, oh boy, we've already seen Fraser Rostons be DQ'd off the track. The last thing we want to see is anybody else, and these guys are going backwards and forwards here, and they've got to try and keep it under their limits. So we'll see where Luciano Whitbot is as he's coming around now. So we are going to have one more, Zach. One more.
It's two more. It's got to be, right?
Yeah,
oh, well,
more.
yeah. This one and then one more. Yeah, of course. I get what you're saying now. Yeah, completely understand. Lee Taylor looking to the outside. Marcus Usma fighting for P8. I mean, there's so many storylines, so many narratives in this race, so many people fighting their way back up, trying to redeem themselves, so many people hanging on in the balance for those positions, hanging on as best they possibly can. Lee Taylor trying to take the P8 off the Dutchman. Marcus Usma, again, another driver who's impressed, backing out of it though on this occasion for Taylor. Gets the drive off the corner though, a little bit wide from the blue links, and that could allow Usma to have the drive. The car in front actually is giving the slipstream to the Honda Civic and is going to give him the inside line, very much the squeeze, and you can see Usma all over that curb on the left hand side. Taylor squirming under the brakes to try and hang on. Usma outside line, and wow, what a move, what a defense that is. Also, you've got the car in behind of Sam Shelton now trying to get into the mix of this as well. We could have a 4-car fight for 7th here, James.
Yeah, we've only got one more lap to go as these guys are battling out, keeping an eye on Egan, Catalan and Cosford as well. They're within about 0.6 of a second as well. There is further back with Mark Bunyan having a good old ding dong down here. He's battling away with Hugh Morris. They're coming up to really be on their final lap as well. So we're going to keep an eye on some of these battles, but it is the Usma Cosford battle here as well. That's also got Taylor and Shelton in it, just for good fun, as we're going to be coming around now. I think Whitbot is going to be near enough on the final lap here as he goes across the line, and that is Whitbot taking the final lap of the race. And then we go back into this battle here with Ian Egan and Matthias Julie.
I thoroughly enjoyed this. It's been a privilege. Thank you to SOP for having us, because wow, what a race, what a pair of races. And now side by side for the final time in towards turn 1, it's Ian Egan that gets the measure of Matt O'Guley in towards turn number 1, and a fight still just in behind Cody Cosford, Marcus Usma as well. Oh my word, flirting with it and not even knowing where to put the cars themselves. One more lap, not even that, and Luciano Whitbot is going to tick off another victory in a few moments time. Have they actually? They've taken the checker. That was the checkered flag. What's happened there?
There was still time left, wasn't there?
There certainly was. There was 2 minutes when Luciano Whitbot crossed the line to take what should have been the final lap. However, that's not been the case. He's still driving himself. He's going full speed. I'm not sure about this. Apparently, according to Biggles, it was checkered. I saw 2 minutes to go. I'm not sure. Luciano Whitbot, however, we're going to see him cross the line anyway, just for funsies, I think. Actually, no, we're not. But it is going to be a sensational victory for a sensational driver. A full 80 points going the way of the Dutchman. P2 in qualifying, P1 in race 1, P1 in race 2. And the fastest lap for good measure. It'll be Fabio Gill and Lee Horn that will join him on the podium. Matt O'Guley just in behind that, with Ian Egan, your top 5. Matteo Catalan, Cody Cosford, Marcus Usma, Lee Taylor, Sam Shelton, your top 10. Then comes James Rawlin, Chris Bell, Kovalevsky, Patrick Den, Simon Baggas, Milton Tomlinson, Ben Sullivan from pole down to P17. Certainly suboptimal for him. Then comes Morris Bunyan, who we saw on his roof in race 1. Did a little bit better in race 2 to be in the top 20. Stinger, Irvs, Rag, Evans, Rastons, and the final driver there, unfortunately, of Lloyd Bidoff, who didn't take to the check flag, got disqualified. 2 drivers disqualified, 1 DNF'd. So, wow, it was really indiscriminate. Anyone really could have taken that. And that was a fantastic show, I think, James. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think that was what we can only class as incredible. I think that's the thing. It was absolutely amazing. They were fighting and everything all over the place. And if it got to the point where me and you didn't even know that we were coming to the end, because I'm sure when Whitbot went across the line, there was still 20 seconds left. So it should have been that lap. But maybe, I don't know, maybe we missed it or whatever. But on that one, Zach, I think overall it's been an absolute incredible 2 races, and I think we can really look forward to hopefully for the rest of the season, because that was absolutely amazing.
Sign me up. Honestly, I cannot wait to see how this championship progresses. It was such a good way to introduce themselves onto the platform, primarily an Assetto Corsa Competizione run organization, jumping onto Race Room to just experiment because they enjoy it. They've got the passion. They want to expand. And my oh my, did they make an impression, hit the ground running in spectacular fashion with 2 brilliant 20-minute races here at the Red Bull Ring. It's been an absolute pleasure. Definitely, hopefully, we'll be back for round number 2 at Sepang. If it's anything like today, I certainly cannot wait. It's been myself, Zach Sweeney, James Parfitt alongside me in the commentary booth. It's been an absolute pleasure here on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. Don't forget, we've got tomorrow coming up, Tuesday, the 17th of January. We go to some GT3s, to the GR86, and to the NASCAR Next Gen with Sunday Drive Racing, the season finale at Watkins Glen at 5 a.m. UK. That's for your GT3s. UK Sim Racers, Bathurst Round 6. That's in the all-new Toyota GR86 at 7:45 p.m. Then the BSC Racing League, Michigan Motor Speedway, the NASCAR Next Gen at midnight UK time. So 3 fantastic events to sink your teeth into, and 3 very diverse setups in terms of sim racing action. But until next time, we'll see you on the track very, very shortly. Take care and goodbye.